You think you know the people around you, but sometimes the truth hides in plain sight. I moved into a quiet neighborhood last fall, thinking everything would be normal. But the first night something strange happened. A shadow moved across my window, and I froze in disbelief. At first, I thought it was my imagination, but the tapping on the glass came again and again. And then I heard whispers coming from the hallway. My neighbors smiled at me the next morning like nothing had happened. But the feeling of being watched never left me. I started noticing small things missing from my apartment, and doors I knew I had locked were slightly open every morning. The more I ignored it, the more obvious it became. Something was wrong. Something dark and hidden was happening right under my nose. Late at night, I heard footsteps in the corridor. Slow, deliberate steps that seemed to pause outside my door. And then I found a note slipped under the mat. It had my name written in handwriting I didn't recognize. The note said I was being observed, and to be careful what I did next. I tried to ignore it, but every night the noises grew louder. Shadows seemed to linger even when the lights were on. I saw reflections in the window that didn't match my movements. I started keeping a log of everything, every sound, every shadow, every strange occurrence. It became clear that someone was tracking my daily routine, watching the way I moved, even noting the people I interacted with. The building that once felt safe became a maze of fear. I began noticing neighbors behaving strangely, smiles that didn't reach their eyes, conversations that stopped the moment I approached, and doors that opened and closed without explanation. One night I decided to check the building's security cameras. What I saw made my blood run cold. A figure I had never noticed moving silently across the hall, pausing outside my door, as if waiting for something. I knew then that I couldn't ignore it any longer. I needed to find out who was behind this, and why. Every lead pointed to a single neighbor, the one who always appeared friendly, the one who smiled, the one who waved hello in the morning. It became clear that appearances were deceiving, and that this person had secrets I could not even imagine. I started observing him secretly, watching his patterns, noticing how he left and returned, how he interacted with the building, and slowly a terrifying picture began to form. A picture of someone who had been living double life, someone who was patient, someone who waited for the perfect moment to strike. And I realized the danger I was in. But I also knew I had to uncover the truth before it was too late. Every small clue I found only made me more determined, because I could feel that the story was far deeper than I imagined, and that the next night would change everything. One evening, I found a hidden envelope slipped under my door, with my name written in handwriting I did not recognize. Inside were photos of me sleeping, notes about my daily routines, and a map of my apartment building. I wanted to call someone, but fear held me back. Instead, I started observing my neighbor secretly, watching every movement, noticing patterns in his behavior. There was a room in the building no one talked about, but lights flickered late at night. I could hear low murmurs behind the walls, and I realized this was more than a prank, more than obsession. Someone was planning something, and I had to uncover the truth before it was too late. Every clue I found led me deeper into a story of betrayal and secrets. that nobody dared speak about in the neighborhood. I started tracing his steps outside the building, noticing which shops he visited, which people he interacted with, how he timed his movements to avoid cameras. It was meticulous, calculated, terrifying. I discovered a hidden basement under the old parking lot, a place no one entered, a place where dark secrets were kept. I saw files with names of people who had disappeared, letters describing how he had ruined lives slowly, silently, perfectly. I realized that the revenge he carried out was not random. It was methodical, every action calculated, every smile and greeting a mask. I felt my heart pounding, but also adrenaline pushing me forward. I knew I had to stop him before anyone else became a victim. I started documenting everything, taking photos, recording movements, watching patterns, and every night I pieced together a puzzle of betrayal, lies, and secrets. It became clear that the past was haunting the present, that the family history of this man was tied to every revenge and disappearance, and I began to understand the depth of his obsession, how it had been brewing for decades, and why he had chosen me to witness it. I realized the danger was closer than I ever imagined, and that uncovering the truth would put me in the center of his game. But I could not stop now, because curiosity and fear had taken over, and the story was far from over. Then one night I followed him to the basement I never knew existed. The door was hidden behind a stack of old boxes. It creaked as I opened it slowly. Inside were photographs pinned to the walls, faces of people who had disappeared years ago, including letters of revenge detailing how he had ruined lives silently, while pretending to be a harmless neighbor. I felt my heart pounding, but I also felt the need to stop him before it was too late. I collected evidence, watched every movement, and realized the dark truth was tied to a family secret in his past. Something that explained the obsession, the danger, and the revenge hidden behind smiles and small talk. The more I uncovered, the more I realized the connections. The people who had vanished were linked by betrayal, lies, and hidden grudges. It was a network of secrets, a web of revenge that had been carefully crafted. And I understood why nobody had dared speak. Why the neighborhood seemed normal on the surface. Because underneath was a story darker than anyone could imagine. I confronted him one night in the basement. He smiled as if he had been expecting me. And for a moment, I thought I had walked into a trap I could not escape. But then I revealed the evidence I had collected. The photos, the letters, the recordings, and I watched his expression change. Shock, fear, realization that the game was over and that someone had finally uncovered the truth. I reported everything to the authorities, but the feeling of being watched did not leave me, because the shadows of past secrets linger longer than the people who hide them, and I knew that the story would stay with me forever. Every night when I walk past that building, I remember the whispers, the tapping, the hidden notebooks, and the dark truths that almost went unnoticed. I realize now how close I came to being just another name on his wall, and I know I will never look at my neighbors the same way again, because sometimes the people around you carry secrets darker than you could ever imagine, and sometimes those secrets are closer than you think.